Good morning, everyone. My name is Spencer Payne. I'm 16 years old and I attend Gridley High School. I'm also in the Gridley High School band. I was born an American and raised an American. And I would like to thank the Memorial Day community for letting me have this opportunity to speak to you today about how I feel about being American and about Memorial Day. For many of us, Memorial Day brings to mind images of parades and picnics and barbecues or other family events. All this we can enjoy because of the benefit of security and peace as Americans. I'd like to speak today about why I feel Memorial Day is a time to remember. First, we all have a common beginning, foundation, and responsibility as American citizens. Second, what are we really remembering on this national day called Memorial Day? And third, who are we specifically remembering today from the past and the present? In my family, there's a traditional story of my grandmother, my great-grandmother actually, and every time her kids left her home, she would say to them, "Remember who you are." And this really means whatever you do, however you act well, and represent our name. And I like to compare that to us today. All of us here may have different first names, middle names, last names, but we have something to share that's in common, that we have the name of an American. And that's something we should be proud of, the name of an American. And wherever we are, whatever we do, however we act, we should be responsible and we should represent and honor the name of America. It's a day for all of us as Americans to come together, remember our country's heroes from the past and the present. Abraham Lincoln stated, "The cords of memory stretching from every battlefield and every patriot grave to every living heart should swell into a mighty chorus of remembrance, gratitude, and rededication of this solemn occasion." What we as Americans sometimes forget about today is what we are remembering. We remember the sacrifices made by our American soldiers in times of conflict. Originally, Memorial Day was called Decoration Day, and it began on May 30th, 1868 by a Civil War general called General John Logan. And he chose this exact date for two reasons. One, this date didn't fall on the anniversary of a battle of the Civil War. And two, most likely all around the United States there will be flowers blooming. And indeed, many flowers were took to the Arlington National Cemetery, and it's still an activity that occurs every year today. Memorial Day became an official 3-day holiday in 1971 when Congress passed the National Holiday Act. I would like to invite all of you to take a moment to think about and honor the sacrifices made by our American soldiers in times of conflict and for what we are remembering today. Now, I invite you to remember to have gratitude towards those soldiers in the past and in the present. And those soldiers who especially our friends and our family that have served us. One comes in my mind is my grandpa who stands behind, who is on this wall behind me. He's over here on this wall over here, and his name is Douglas Frederick Andresen, who served in the U.S. Marines from 1952 to 1955. My mom always remembers my grandpa saying with fervor, "Semper Fi." We all knew it. It was an exclamation of pride and commitment that he learned and held deep inside of him from his years as a Marine. He even has that word Semper Fi on his gravestone over there too. So it was interesting. Semper Fidelis, or Semper Fi for short, is Latin for always faithful. If you really knew him, always faithful is the kind of guy that my grandpa was. I would like to also remember my Uncle Mark, who died at a very young age after the Vietnam War. And when he went to the Vietnam War, he left his wife and 2 children. His children being at the ages 3 and 1. My uncle, Mark Rycroft Pa'aluki, served in the Army for 10 years, including 2 tours in Vietnam. After returning, he was affected physically and mentally and died as a result of his injuries. And every time we go to Hawaii, to visit our family, we always visit his grave, which is located across from Pearl Harbor at the U.S. Military Cemetery, Punchbowl. My uncle died on April 15, 1986, at the age of 32. Alive today, my 2 uncles who served in the Air Force are Dennis Barney, who served from 1969 to 1973, working in the communications system for the Air Force. Second, my uncle Walden Barney, who is his brother, that served from 1970 to 1974 on the electronic systems that armed the Gatling gun. Now this Gatling gun is mounted in the nose pod of a very dynamic F-4 fighter. Also, I have my grandma, Mary Pa'alugi Andresen. She lived in Hawaii during the attack of Pearl Harbor, and she had to be in a bomb shelter, and they had to put black paper on all their windows so the enemy wasn't able to spot them. And they had to go and stand in long lines with scripts, or there were coupons to get their food for the day. She also later was an RN trained at St. Luke's Hospital in San Francisco in the late 1950s. And 6 months away from graduating, she was going to be drafted into the Army as an RN. She really wanted to go and serve her country. But 2 weeks before this happened, the Korean War ended, and she did not have to go. But I do still honor her for being an example of patriotism to me. There's also other examples of patriotism to me, and there's 3 additional soldiers I would like to mention. Not only mention them, but also honor them and their families. First, our friends Ron and Judy Quist of Biggs. They have their son Jonathan Quist out right now, and Judy said this of her son. Jonathan is a petty officer, second class, serving on the submarine Key West in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. He's a navigator for the sub. He's proud to serve his country and has recently re-enlisted for his second 5 years of service. My anatomy teacher, Mrs. Ellis at my school, has her son Jordan serving in Afghanistan. This is what she said of her son. Jordan is stationed at Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. He is in the security forces, and he is a part of a flyway security team. His job is to accompany and provide security for the big C-130 planes as they carry out their missions and land in a hostile environment. He just commented to me recently that even though he really misses all of us, he's doing this to protect his loved ones from terrorism ever happening again on U.S. soil. I think he will get to come home from this deployment in late July or early August. After that, he will probably have to go back in another 6 months. Man, I miss him, and thank you for doing this Memorial Day talk. It's good to know our boys are being thought of. And finally, Vicki and Edson Smith tell me about their son, Robert. CMCN Robert Smith, United States Navy CB, based in Mazar-e Sharif, Afghanistan. Robert writes to all of us today here, and he says, I'm very proud to be serving and protecting my country for being in Afghanistan. It's hard work, but I'm proud to be one of the few servicemen to be working on a project, building the biggest base built since Vietnam. I'm very proud to have followed in my grandpa Bob Thomas's footsteps. He also served in the Navy during the Vietnam War. Thank you to all of the people back home who keep us in their prayers every day. You'll never know how much we all appreciate it. I'd like to thank the Quist, Ellis, and Smith families for sharing this information with me about their sons. And I hope we will all remember today those American soldiers who have served us in times of conflict. I hope we will remember our friends and loved ones because they certainly do honor and remember all of us here through their service. In conclusion, Memorial Day is a time to remember. 1, we should remember who we are all Americans. 2, on this National Memorial Day, it's a day to remember our soldiers, past and present. And 3rd, as Americans today, we honor those soldiers, young men and women, some even from our hometowns who are protecting us. I'd like to thank you all for listening to me and coming today. And I want you to remember those soldiers who serve in the military, in the past and also right now. And also to our men and women who serve and protect our freedoms today, thank you so much. Because today is a time to remember, and this is what Memorial Day means to me. And I'd like to add one more thing. And I feel that Lee Greenwood's song says it all, and well for me. I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, because there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Thank you.